You're listening to That Sports Card Show with Vincent Tullo and AJ Tullo.
With a hot new NASCAR special episode of That Sports Card Show. We got to talk to a very special guest today. In this episode, we talked to NASCAR driver Landon Cassill. Landon drives the number 34 Ford Fusion for Team Front Row Motorsports. Landon took time out of his hectic schedule of doing fan signings and doing meet and greets, and I'm sure doing lots of race prep, to do a little interview with us today. Landon will be starting in the 27th position at the Daytona 500 tomorrow. So if you're listening to this past February 25th, the race is already over and you know who won. It was a great interview we did today with Landon. We got a little insight into the way Landon sends things into Panini for inclusion into the NASCAR sets and cards with the Race Juice memorabilia. And Landon also told us how you can acquire the through-the-mail autos that he signs through the mail. And speaking of signed memorabilia, the best way to store and display your valuable collections of signed memorabilia is Ball Cube. Ball Cube is more than just displays for signed baseballs and hockey pucks. It's a great place to get display cases for all your NASCAR memorabilia too. A great way to show off that signed helmet from your favorite driver, or various size die-cast cars as well. BALLQUBE.com. Free shipping on orders over $75. Made in the USA. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now let's hear from Landon Cassill. So, how's it going, Landon? I saw you this morning on social media and looked like you were at a Love's fuel stop with a giant tanker with your picture on the front of it. Is that new?
You pretty much nailed it. Yes. I had an appearance at Love's Travel Stops, right by Daytona International Speedway. And yeah, they've got a big old truck with my picture on it. It's pretty cool looking. It's got the race car, it's got my mug, and it's gonna be. They got a couple of them around the country that are gonna be running around. So if you see one, take a picture of it and tweet it to me at Landon Cassill.
Oh, okay. So that is the Front Row Motorsports Ford Fusion that you drive, correct?
Yeah, number 34.
Number 34, the Love's fuel stop car,
Love's
right?
Travel Stop.
Love's
Yep.
Travel Stop, yeah, correct. So where are you from and how did you get started in racing?
Well, I'm from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I started racing just when I was a kid, racing go-karts, and that kind of went from a hobby to something to do with my dad and brother when I was 8 years old to something pretty serious, racing full-size cars and traveling all over the country. By the time I graduated high school, I was doing it professionally.
So when you were a kid, did you dream of becoming a big-time NASCAR driver?
I certainly did. It's always been my dream.
Yeah.
It's always been what I wanted to do. So I'm definitely kind of living out my career dreams.
Yeah. So what was your first team in NASCAR? Your initial team that you broke in with?
Hendrick Motorsports was my first team.
Oh, okay, I've heard of them.
They're a big team. I started out test driving for Jimmy Johnson and tested for them for a few years, and I started getting opportunities along the way that kind of led to where I'm at now, driving for Front Row Motorsports. 2017 is a big year for us. We've got loves travel stops on the car for 18 races, and I feel like we've got a good alliance with Roush Fenway Racing for technical support to build faster and better race cars. So I'm as focused and as prepared as ever, and I'm just really excited about the season. I think we can do some really good things.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are set up for success this season.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got the same group of guys that I had last year. Donnie Wingo's my crew chief. He's been around for quite a while. He definitely knows what he's doing. With David Reagan as a teammate, both of our cars are filling out with sponsorship, and it's kind of creating a sense of security that this team has never had before. And I think that's definitely going to translate into some success on the racetrack.
You just mentioned some of the people that are kind of behind you. They say that for every driver that makes it in NASCAR, there's a whole team of people who are behind and make sacrifices to help get them there. Do you agree with that? And if you do, who are some of the people that made sacrifices to help you get to where you are today?
For sure. I mean, I think, the team Front Row Motorsports specifically has, 50 employees that are building these cars from the ground up, and each department at Front Row, whether it's the fab shop, the finish fabrication, the paint shop, and then the main shop floor where the cars are assembled by the mechanics and the road crew that travels every single weekend. They all have a job to do to build these cars, and the cars have to be fast for me to have success. And
right.
So it's their job to design and build a fast race car. I can't do this on my own. Wouldn't even try. So
right.
They all have families. The guys that go on the road, they spend a lot of time away from their wives, and the people in the shop, work a lot of hours to put out a good product for me and for our sponsors.
Yeah, they got to stay at it, because if you don't, the next guy will be there and they'll surpass everything you've done.
That's right.
Yeah. So there is a new generation of talented young drivers coming into NASCAR right now. Guys like Chase Elliott, Ty Dillon, Kyle Larson, Landon Cassill. I don't know if I can remember a time where so many good, young, talented drivers were coming in all at once. Now, have you noticed from any of the older veteran drivers, is this something that they are embracing, or is it something that they may think kind of negatively, these guys need to wait their turn?
That's a good question, because it's the experienced drivers are definitely not easy on young drivers.
Yeah.
They're nice. I mean, I wouldn't say they're mean guys or anything, but they're definitely young. They're definitely rough on young drivers. I mean, the rookies kind of have to earn their way. They have to earn their place.
Right.
And I guess that's fair enough, but it's just a little bit of a part of our culture where people have long careers in NASCAR. So the guys with a lot of experience, a lot of time under their belt that's been on the track for many, many years, they make the young guys work for it.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot of young talent out there, and they are pushing the old guys right now.
Yep.
So a lot of times older veteran drivers will take younger drivers kind of under their wing, so to speak, to help them get started. Did you have any veteran drivers or drivers that helped you when you were starting out?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I was at Hendrick Motorsports, I had some of the best veterans helping me out. I worked with Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Those guys have helped me out a lot over the years. Dale Jr.'s been a good friend. There's been guys that have always kind of been there for me. Kyle Busch was at Hendrick when I first started, and even after he went on to Joe Gibbs Racing, I leaned on him a lot.
Really?
To kind of learn these tracks the first time I was going to them in a Cup car. I mean, Kyle would actually take the time to get in a rental car or a pace car with me and take me around the racetrack when I was making my first couple Cup starts. That was something that
wow.
that I can thank him for.
That's invaluable experience.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, NASCAR is kind of the grand stage of racing in the United States. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is. It's the premier motorsports I think in the world. I mean, Formula One is a big sport and it has a huge following, a huge presence, but NASCAR is just so authentic and so real, and the cars race so close together. It's really unlike anything else.
Now, given that NASCAR is the grand stage, if you were given the opportunity, would you ever consider racing in a different style league like IndyCar open-wheeled racers?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't really have a need to right now. I
Yeah.
mean, as a professional race car driver, I'm where I need to be. And I have a lot invested in getting this far and getting into this place. So, I don't really have a need to go anywhere else right now, but I think, somewhere along my career, I'd love to race the Chili Bowl, and I'd love to go back and race the Snowball Derby late model race. There's definitely other one-off races I'd love to go do.
Well, with that question, I just meant, do you think your skills would translate to that style of racing?
I think, I think as a race car driver, I definitely have racing skills that will translate no matter what.
Yeah.
But, these guys that race Indy cars or Formula One, they've been racing those kinds of cars for their entire life, just like I've been racing stock cars for my entire life.
Uh-huh.
So the learning curve there would be a huge challenge.
Right.
And I'm not saying I couldn't do it, but it would take a lot of time, and it would take a 100% commitment to go do it and have an elite caliber success. And that's where it's kind of like I'm still in the place where I need to be right now when it comes to focusing on my NASCAR program.
You mentioned a couple one-off races. Seeing how you are from Iowa, which you mentioned earlier, which event would be bigger for you, for an Iowa dude like you, winning the Knoxville Nationals or a regular season NASCAR race?
That's a tough one. That's a really good one, just because the Knoxville Nationals is such a hard one. I mean, in my position right now, I think I'd take winning a NASCAR race, but
yeah.
maybe after I've won a NASCAR race, I might take winning the Knoxville Nationals for sure.
Right. So I wanted to ask you this. This year there are major changes coming to NASCAR's point system, which I'm sure you're aware of. You care to elaborate on the major differences that are between this year and last year?
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially breaking the race up into stages and awarding the points is really going to create some urgency to race hard all race long. It's always important to look at the big picture, but now you've got a kind of a risk reward scenario going on during the race. So I think there's a good chance that it can change the strategy of our races as we know it.
So what I understand, they're going for more of a place where they want people to have to drive for the win instead of getting points championships. Is that correct?
For sure. Yeah, it is. It's just kind of incentivizing, really. I mean, it's a 3-hour race. We're asking a lot of the fans to tune in to a 3-hour show. And there's a lot of good content that's going on in those races that might be getting missed out. So by breaking it up into the stages and incentivizing with points and playoff points, it's giving the drivers incentive to race hard, and it's giving the fans incentive to tune in for the whole race.
Yeah. So you will be starting 27th in the Daytona 500 tomorrow, correct?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Well, I read that you felt the car that you qualified with was plenty fast, but maybe a little loose. Does that sound like?
It was. I felt like it had some good grip or good speed. We just kind of had to work on some of the drivability. We've got our practice here on Saturday afternoon, our final practice, where I'm going to do some drafting and try to, really just get it dialed in and kind of make our final adjustments for the race. I think we're going to kind of shoot for handling on Sunday. The track's going to get slick, and we're going to get the car to drive as good as we can.
Now, is that one of those things where you are going to have to sacrifice a little speed to get the car dialed in for handling? Or
well, the goal right now is that the adjustments that we're making in practice are kind of validating that, and we're finding that out. And essentially, we're just going to have to decide how much speed we're willing to sacrifice for handling. So,
right,
that's a good question, because we make the adjustment, we see how much speed it costs and then we kind of make a note, and then after practice is over, we'll look down at all of our changes and decide which ones were worth it or not.
Yeah. So this will be your 5th start at Daytona or 6th start?
Oof,
in the 500.
I don't even know. I'm not sure. I haven't even.
I did a little research, and I think this will be your 6th start.
I think it's my 5th or 6th. My first start was with BK Racing. I made 2 starts with Hillman Racing, and this is my 2nd start with Front Row.
Okay. So do you feel like that experience can help you get over the hump to get a win in this thing? Having all those starts?
It certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
The more I can race in this race at this track, the better it is. So I do have a lot of experience at Daytona. I feel like I know the track really well, and I feel like I know how my competitors race, which is almost more important. And so, that's part of the strategy that can get me to the front on Sunday.
Do you traditionally feel like you run strong in restrictor plate races?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I'm very comfortable at them. I've got a top 5 finish at Talladega. I've led laps at these tracks, ran up front in my duel on Thursday. I saw that. I always feel prepared when I come to super speedways.
Yeah, congratulations on that. You were right out front.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, seeing how this this show is technically a sports card show, I have to ask you, have you been signing many cards for Panini this year?
Yeah, I sign a lot of them for sure. That's I say I sign a lot at every track that I go to.
Yeah.
It seems like those are still a really good collector's item for fans.
Yeah.
And I enjoy signing them.
Yeah. Well, there's only one company that does NASCAR cards this year, and it's Panini. And they're making a lot of sets, and they're really nice.
Yep.
So, were you familiar at all with the new style of modern cards that's being manufactured now? The kinds that have like the low numbers, and they include the autographs on the cards with pieces of like race-worn memorabilia and that kind of thing. Did you ever know those even existed?
Well, I did because I give some of my stuff to Panini for the race-worn memorabilia. So we give them fire suits and shoes and things like that.
And that was actually going to be my very next question, because a lot of these have huge patches and race-worn memorabilia of fire suits, and even some of them are incorporating sheet metal and pieces of tires and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was going to ask you, do you get to pick out what you send into Panini that they include in their cards?
Sometimes I do, yeah, for sure. I pick it out. Sometimes I'm personally the one that donates the fire suit.
Huh.
Even if my team doesn't want me to donate that particular fire suit, I'll do it anyways.
Yeah. Okay. So I know.
Or sometimes I'll do it without them knowing.
Yeah. That's cool. So I know NASCAR drivers are known for being generous when it comes to giving back to their fans, probably more so than any other sport. Do you spend a lot of time signing autographs for fans, like when you're at the track and stuff like that?
I do. I try to take the extra time with fans, and I like to build a personal relationship with my fans. So
yeah,
it's important to me to have a connection, and that's definitely how I like to do it.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of our listeners are what's called through the mail autograph collectors.
Yep.
Which means they'll take pictures, postcards, or even like trading cards that aren't signed, and they'll send them to you, and then you send them back autographed. Do you have some kind of through the mail program that you do autographs for fans?
Yeah, if you send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Front Row Motorsports, I'm not sure of the address, but if you can look it up and the address is online. Actually, I just dug out a business card here. The address is 2670 Peachtree Road, Statesville, North Carolina, 28625. That's our race shop. And if you contact Jenny Martin, she will personally handle the autograph requests.
All right, everybody, you heard it. Now send
And
in
her office phone number is 704-873-6445, extension 210.
Okay, everybody, you heard it. Landon Cassill will sign your cards, so send them in. Okay.
You got it. Thanks for having me on the show.
I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. It's got to be crazy. You got preparing for the biggest race of the year tomorrow, and I really appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
From what I understand, you are not only known for being a great driver, but you're also known for being a sharp dresser. In fact, were you not named GQ's most stylish driver for 2016?
I certainly was. That was kind of a cool piece of. That was some good media, for sure. That was good online content. I appreciated that. It's always fun to get into some of the mainstream media outside of our sport. So
right,
yeah, that was fun.
Well, they don't just hand that out without having something to back it up. So do you what do you do to dress up? I mean, how did you get that title?
I don't know. I mean, I've just always kind of been into it since I was younger, and I just kind of, I guess, have my own way of doing things, and maybe got a reputation for it, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that'd do it. So I understand, like most modern athletes today, that you're really into fitness.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you think that helps you when you're in the race, like in the late laps and fatigue setting in? Does that give you an edge?
Yeah, I definitely think it helps me performance-wise, endurance in the car. I feel like it gives me an edge over my competitors.
Yeah. Well, being someone who travels a lot, that's enough to wear you down just by that fact alone. Travel can be grating.
Yeah, you have to definitely get lots of rest.
So, as someone who travels a lot, what do you do to help maintain a healthy diet when you're on the road? I understand that you're kind of a food guru of sorts.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a food guru, but I definitely seek out healthy eating. I don't stop at your typical fast food restaurants. I'm always looking for a Whole Foods or a health food store while I'm on the road. It just kind of takes discipline and a lot of time and preparation, and that's that's just the best way for me to prepare for a race weekend and stay fueled up.
Maybe food guru is a bad choice of words, but are you a vegetarian or something? I thought I saw a video of that.
I am, yeah. I eat a plant-based diet and stay as healthy as possible at all times.
That's kind of where I was going with that, because I saw a video where you were preparing something online yesterday.
Yep.
What was that?
I was doing a special for Race Hub where they wanted me to cook for them. So I cooked for them, and we filmed it. It'll be an upcoming segment.
Yeah.
Landon
Cassill, thanks for joining us on That Sports Card Show. Feel free to call back anytime, and good luck in the Daytona 500 tomorrow.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'd love to talk to you guys again in the future.
Hey, thank you.
All right, thanks, bye.
Check out ballcube.com for all your memorabilia, display, and storage needs. And don't forget to check us out on Twitter at TSCS Podcast. That's Sports Card Show. Also check us out on our Facebook page. And feel free to email us with any comments or show ideas at thatsportscarshow@gmail.com. We'll see you next episode.